Yo, what's up family? Before we start the video, please leave a like, subscribe, and share to any and everyone that you can, just so we get out there a little bit more. With that being said, let's get right into the video. How y'all doing? I hope y'all doing good. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not, make sure you take your shoes off before you come in the house. And the Boston Celtics have locked up the top seed in the Eastern Conference and the NBA, and will have home court advantage throughout the playoffs. The Celtics are expected at least to get to the finals, but this is a championship or bust year for others, including me. The playoffs are right around the corner, and in about a week, the Celtics will know their first round opponent. However, today I wanted to go through every Eastern Conference playoff team in detail and give my thoughts about them and how they fare against the Celtics, and if I view them as a threat or not. Please, if you disagree with anything, put it down in the comments. I love to talk basketball, just keep it respectful. But with that being said, let's get into the video. The Chicago Bulls and the Atlanta Hawks seem to be locked in at the bottom two play-in spots, and I won't spend too much time on it. We saw a different Hawks team last year in the playoffs, and they surprisingly took us to 6 games. This year, of course, we had that 2-game stretch that had fans freaking out when we blew a huge lead to them and then lost to them again in overtime. It's hard to gauge down the stretch of the season with a team like the Celtics that's been so dominant, whether some games cause for concern or not, but the Hawks can get hot in a game or two, and offensive rebounds were a huge part of both of their victories. But with that being said, the Hawks are no threat to the Boston Celtics. Trae Young is just coming back, and people also forget the C's convincingly beat this team twice before the mini-series occurred. The Celtics talent should win out in the end. This will go 5 games at the most out of respect for knowing that Trae Young and or DeJounte can put together a really good game. Chicago is a solid group. DeMar DeRozan has had a really underrated season, and Kobe White is a most improved candidate even though he slowed down as of late. Ayo Dosunmu with Kobe White should give them a solid backcourt for the future. But in terms of this year's playoffs, I wouldn't see them getting a game from us. DeMar and Nikola Vucevic's in-between games, along with Caruso's defensive prowess and some of Drummond's offensive rebounds, could serve effective in games, but I don't think it'll lead to anything substantial. The Bulls are no threat, and again, I would be surprised if they got a game from us. Now on to the 8th seed of Miami Heat. I want them in the first round. Trust me, I know they're like a Freddy Krueger-like being in the dreams of most Celtics fans, but trust me, this shit has to end. Why would I want them in the first round, you might ask? It's because I think psychological factors have played a huge part in the past Celtics playoff runs, especially with Tatum and Brown at the helm. I do not want this team to have a cakewalk in the first round, and playing the Miami Heat will guarantee that they take this run seriously from the beginning. If they exercise these demons, and comfortably I might add, I think that will be the perfect prepare for the road ahead. This Celtics team is too different this year, and I'm prepared to eat my words if it backfires on me, but the Heat are no threat to the Celtics this year. I'm picking the Celtics in 5 or 6 out of respect for Eric Spoelstra and the Miami Heat, but the C's will get past them this time. And I just want to say that a C's in 5 pick does not mean that they will be blowing the Heat out every game. It could lean towards a Celtics vs Nets series when they swept the Nets, but every game was hard fought. In the 7th seed is the Philadelphia 76ers, and this will be pretty interesting. I believe they are the 3rd biggest threat in the East to the Celtics, and of course, majority of it is Joel Embiid coming back. Tyrese Maxey is obviously very dangerous too, with his speed and his ability to shoot off the catch and off the dribble in the in-between game with those floaters. They also have quality depth with guys like Kelly Oubre, Tobias Harris, DeAnthony Melton, Nick Batum, Buddy Hield, Kyle Lowry, and Paul Reed. Kelly Oubre can score 20 any night he gets hot and plays solid defense. Tobias Harris as a 3rd option is a really effective scorer with getting to his spots. Hield is one of the greatest shooters we've ever seen, but he's a guy we will happily take advantage of on the other end. DeAnthony Melton is a good 3-and-D guard. Batum has always been a solid veteran, and Kyle Lowry always has a tendency to turn on some black magic when he sees Celtics green. The 76ers are also number 1 in steals, and the Celtics being the lowest turnover team in the league, I think that'll be something to watch. And now on to the Celtics. While I do have respect for Joel Embiid and a healthy fear of him, the Celtics have a very strong track record of scheming against Joel and making things tough for him, not to mention he notoriously plays worse than his MVP self in the playoffs. Another factor is his conditioning. He just came back from a long injury about a week ago and has been scoring just fine, but he's looked gassed on numerous occasions, which is expected. Playing them in the first round could serve better for the C's because it gives JoJo less time to get his win back. Everybody saw what Tatum did to him in Game 7 off the pick and rolls and the switches, and doing that same exact thing while he isn't fully conditioned, and this time with the pick and pop and roll threat like Porzingis, could exhaust Embiid. In closing, this team is a slight threat to me, and my guess is Celtics in 6 with a very slim chance of things going to 7 games. Next is the Indiana Pacers, who sit at number 6. This team to me is not scary or a threat, but they are concerning, and most of it depends on what version of Tyrese Halliburton they are getting. He has slowed down since his injury, but is slowly coming back to form. The Pacers love to attack in the mid-range area, as they are number 1 in mid-range field goal percentage in the league on the 7th most attempts. The Celtics are 18th in opponent mid-range percentage and allow the 5th most mid-range attempts per game. The Pacers might be able to find success there, as the playoffs always become more of a half-court game. Halliburton, Andrew Nembhard, Jalen Smith, and Miles Turner are all at least in the 90th percentile when it comes to mid-range percentage. Another guy in that category for them that I think can really swing playoff games is TJ McConnell. This motherfucker does not stop on both ends of the court. He's first in drives per 100 possessions, and he's a big reason why the Pacers are second in 2-point shot attempts per game and third in shots attempted at the rim. A potential backup PG matchup between him and Payton Pritchard could really be a movie to watch. TJ McConnell and Halliburton are also the engine to this moving offense. They are second in offensive rating, and they average the most assists per game, so they will make the Celtics move. Their defense has slightly improved since the Siakam trade, but the way they use Buddy Hield really helped Halliburton in the offense. Siakam could serve better though in a slowed down half-court setting, which always happens in the playoffs. Now on to the C's. I like the Pacers team, but I don't think they have enough defenders. Aaron Nesmith has become a good one, but Tatum and Brown have looked comfortable in every meeting against the Pacers this season. The Celtics don't get to the line a bunch, but the Pacers are number 1 in the league in fouls per game, so I expect us to take advantage of that. On the flip side of mid-ranges, the Pacers allow the highest field goal percentage on mid-range shots in the league, and although the Celtics take the least amount in the league, I think Porzingis, Brown, and Tatum are versatile enough to take advantage of that if that's what's given to them. With the Pacers' lack of stoppers but exciting offense, I think this series goes 6 games at the max and Celtics win. This video is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winners roll in. Download the app today and use the code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. PrizePicks even offers injury insurance so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. For basketball games, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, PrizePicks will have your back and not count that as a loss. Personally, I've been using PrizePicks for about 2 years and I've won a pretty penny in that span. I only do NBA and NFL, but you guys are probably more versatile than I am. Tonight I have LeBron James more than 24.5 points, TJ McConnell more than 16.5 points and assists, and Emmanuel Quickly more than 25 points plus assists. Once again, download the app today and use the code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less, it's that easy. Next is the 5th seeded Orlando Magic. I really like where this team is headed in the future, led by Paolo Banchero. This season, they have hung their hats on the defensive side. They have the 3rd best defense in the NBA and have some really impactful defenders. In the playoff series, they are super young and don't have any real expectations, which can allow them to play freely. Jonathan Isaac is a top 3 defender in basketball to me and has given Tatum problems when they have matched up this season. Jalen Suggs is also another guy that can wreck games defensively. They are really physical and average the most free throw attempts per game. But honestly, I don't think this team is a threat because they just won't be able to hang with the Celtics offensively. The Celtics will dominate the shot margins as the Magic shoot the least amount of field goal attempts per game. They take the 2nd lowest amount of threes and they make the least. 39% of their shots come at the rim and the Celtics are 3rd in rim defense. They also have a lot of positional size, but they are kind of small at the center position with Wendell Carter. And I expect Porzingis to give him a handful. I like this team a lot, but their offense is just not good enough yet to make me go running high, so the Magic are no threat to me, and I have the Celtics in 5. Next is the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I really don't know how to gauge this team. They've had hella injuries at the start of the season with no Mobley and Garland for about 30 games, and they were the hottest team in the league. Then they come back and they look good, but then down the stretch of the season, they just haven't been good. Now, some of that is due to Donovan Mitchell missing some games, but this team has just been all over the place. However, Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland are definitely concerns, and I want to see how much drop coverage Joe Mazzulla plays on them. The Cavs have a top 10 defense, but I think we can really be switch heavy against Garland and Mitchell and get favorable matchups. I'm also interested to see how we handle their double big lineup with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. While the size is certainly a factor, the Cavs have not been good with them both playing together. The Cavs' top 6 most effective lineups this season do not have Evan Mobley and Jared Allen together. And when they were scorching hot to start the year, Jared Allen was the lone big. and surprisingly, the double big approach isn't even in the top 3 in defensive rating in terms of their lineups. All in all, I do not fear this team, but I respect the playoff ability of Donovan Mitchell, so I'm gonna go season 5 with a slight chance of 6. Now the third seed is where it gets fun. This here is the New York Knicks. They just beat us soundly, but I need y'all to understand nothing I'm saying is because of that game. The Knicks are tied with the Bucks to me as the biggest threats to the Celtics. They have a top 10 offense and defense with an MVP candidate in Jalen Brunson. The way they are coached by Tibbs and the way they play could serve very rugged in the playoffs. Everyone on their team seeks and plays through contact, and we haven't seen them with OG Anunoby in a serious game before. OG, Josh Hart, and Dante DiVincenzo are all great defenders, and Miles McBride if he plays. They are last in pace in the NBA, which suits them for the playoffs. Something I think that could be really big in this series is shot margin. I know they just crushed the Celtics on the glass last night, but again, that's not why I say this. The very first game of the season, the Knicks shot 20 more shots than us and had 17 offensive rebounds. The silver lining to that is that they still lost, but the team was much different. What's weird to me is that the Celtics are first in total rebounds per game in the league, but have games where they have significant lapses with defensive rebounding. They have given up 15 or more offensive rebounds in 17 games this season. No other team in the top 5 in total rebounds have over 12 such games, so that can be a concern. Now, where I think the Celtics can win this thing is at a couple different points. Although I do believe that the Knicks are a more efficient offensive team without Julius Randle, that is about 16 to 22 points in a playoff game, and not having that puts a lot of pressure on Jalen Brunson. Now, he has shown that he can handle that throughout the season, but in a playoff series where a Celtics can scheme for him, I think that will force a Josh Hart, a DiVincenzo, or an OG to become vital scorers in an entire playoff series. We could make OG drive the basketball knowing that he has a high turnover rate on his drives. We can make Josh Hart have to beat us with threes and things of that nature. If they are struggling to score, the Knicks will likely go to Bojan Bogdanovic when they need a scoring punch, but that will be good for us on the other end. Another factor is Mitchell Robinson, and it's kind of the same of what I talked about with Joel Embiid. Robinson recently came back from an injury, and he's one of the best offensive rebounders in the league and can help with that shot margin thing. But Porzingis has had a field day in most games versus the Knicks because his pick and pop presence and ability to pump fake and go off the dribble has been a little bit too much for Mitchell Robinson. I feel like that would be even more prevalent now that Robinson is working his way back from injury. Continuing to put him in those pick and rolls and pick and pops with Porzingis could be easy offense for us. With all that said, I am concerned about the Knicks. I think this team is a threat, but I will take the Celtics in 6 or 7. Lastly is the Milwaukee Bucks, and it's all about their star power. If Giannis Antetokounmpo and Dame Lillard dominate, this could be a really interesting series. Them and the Pacers are the only teams I think can really match up with us when it comes to putting up points. Their X factor, of course, is the play of Chris Middleton. If he's able to add to the creative process of that offense and be his efficient self while adding some playmaking, that could definitely hurt the Celtics. Now for the C's, I'm gonna bang the drum on the Bucks defense. It has improved since Doc Rivers and Pat Beverly have arrived, but Dame, Malik Beasley, and Bobby Portis are people we can attack all day long. Brook Lopez is a good paint defender, but I think Porzingis will make him move his feet more than he'd like to. Also, the Celtics have a track record dating back years of making Giannis shoot worse from the field than he usually does, and hopefully they can keep that up. I don't see the Celtics losing this series, but it's really tricky in terms of the number of games. I honestly believe the Celtics will win this series in either 5 or 7 games. Just let me explain. If the Bucks play lights out, they can really draw this out, but if there are multiple games where their perimeter defenders are just too much to overcome, this could end fairly quickly. Hopefully that makes sense. But that is the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, subscribe, and share to any and everyone that you can, just so we can get out there a little bit more, and I will see you guys in the next video. But this is Nick. Peace.